I should have never opened that box. I should have never let it inside my home. Now, no matter where I go, I feel it watching me. It started on my wedding day. The celebration was beautiful with laughter, dancing, and the warm wishes of family and friends. The reception hall was filled with gifts, wrapped in colorful paper and ribbons. But one stood out. A small, old wooden box. No name, no card. Just there, sitting among the other presents like it had always been there. I don't know why, but the sight of it made my stomach turn. Something about it felt wrong. I asked my husband if he knew who brought it. He shrugged, assuming it was from an elder or distant relative. That night, we sat together, unwrapping gifts in our new home. Plates, kitchen appliances, envelopes of cash and all normal wedding gifts. Then, finally, the old wooden box. As soon as I touched it, I felt a deep chill in my bones. It wasn't cold, but it made me shiver. I hesitated. My husband urged me to open it, laughing at my nervousness. So, I did. Inside was a small, carved wooden figure. A woman, dressed in old ceremonial attire, her hair styled in an intricate, ancient fashion. But her face, something about it was unsettling. The features were sharp, the eyes deep and hollow, as if they could see right through me. Interesting, my husband said, placing it on the mantelpiece. I tried to laugh it off, but deep down, I felt something had shifted. The first few nights were fine. Then, small things started happening. The air in the house felt heavier. Shadows seemed to move when I wasn't looking. At night, there were faint scratching sounds, like nails dragging across wood. One evening, as I was preparing for bed, I noticed something strange. The figure on the mantelpiece had turned slightly. I was sure it had been facing forward before. Now, it was angled toward our bedroom door. I told myself it must have shifted somehow. Maybe my husband had moved it without thinking. But the next morning, it had moved again. Now it faced directly toward our bed. That night, I woke up to whispers. Soft, almost like a breath against my ear. I sat up, my heart pounding. The room was silent, but I could still feel something there, something unseen. Then I heard it again. A low murmur, coming from the living room. Slowly, I got out of bed, careful not to wake my husband. I stepped into the hallway, my breath shallow. The figure was no longer on the mantelpiece. It was on the floor, facing me. The whispering grew louder. Not words I understood, but a strange, rhythmic chant. Then the figure moved. Just slightly. But I saw it. I ran back to bed, pulling the covers over my head like a child hiding from a nightmare. But the whispers continued. They didn't stop until just before dawn. The next day, I told my husband everything. He laughed. "You're just tired. It's probably all in your head." But I knew it wasn't. So that night, I stayed awake, watching. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the house fell deathly silent. Then, the air changed. It became heavy, thick, as if something was pressing down on me. The figure, still on the mantelpiece, began to shift. Not fall. Not tip over. It twisted, slowly turning on its own, until it was facing me again. I couldn't breathe. Then, from the darkness of the living room, a shape rose. A shadow, tall and thin, with hollow, empty eyes. It stood behind the figure, watching me. And then it smiled. The whispering returned, but this time, it was clear. "You brought me in. Now you are mine." I don't remember what happened next. I must have passed out. The following morning, I woke up feeling drained, my limbs weak, my head heavy. My husband was still asleep, but something was wrong. His breathing was slow. Too slow. I shook him gently. He didn't wake up. Panicked, I pressed my fingers to his wrist, ice cold. I screamed, shaking him harder. His eyes opened, but something was different. His gaze was hollow, distant. His face seemed stretched, like something was wearing his skin. Then he spoke. But it wasn't his voice. It was a dry, rasping whisper. You should not have opened the box. I ran. I didn't think, I just ran. Out of the bedroom. Out of the house. Into the street, where I collapsed, gasping for breath. My husband was found hours later. Alive, but unresponsive. Doctors said it was exhaustion. Stress. But I know the truth. I tried to tell my family, but they dismissed it. I tried to get rid of the carving, but no matter where I threw it, no matter how far I took it, it always came back. Now, it sits in the corner of my new apartment. Watching. Waiting. And every night, at exactly 2:33 a.m., I hear the whispers. You brought me in. Now you are mine. And last night, for the first time since that night, my husband finally spoke again. But it wasn't his voice. It whispered. Let me in.